Nithyananda, welcome everybody to another video here at the Blissful Athlete YouTube channel. Today we are talking all about the pranayamas to awaken Kundalini that are part of the Nithyananda Yoga Prathama Vinyasa Krama sequence. Now, if I just spoke a lot of jargon to you, don't worry, we'll break that down right now. If you do not know who I am, my name is Nithyananda. I'm an ordained Nithyananda Yoga Acharya. I had spent the last 3 years living in my guru's ashram in India, being directly taught under Bhagavan Sri Nithyananda Paramashivam. And he recently revealed a 108 asana sequence. And along with that sequence are not just asanas, but the 12 components of yoga. With each sequence, there should be 12 components that are involved, and that is the asana, the bandha, the pranayama. And today, those are just 3 of the 12, but today we're focusing on the pranayamas of that sequence. So whether you're a practitioner of the Prathama Vinyasa Krama or you don't know what it is, today you're going to learn 8 powerful pranayama techniques that will 100% ignite your Kundalini. You will experience Kundalini Shakti flow through you when you're performing these pranayamas with full integrity. So today we're doing this on a live stream. So I'll go through each one of these pranayamas, and I really do encourage you, pause the video if you do not have the time to sit and actually practice these pranayamas, because I've actually already done a video on all of these pranayamas, but I didn't actually explain how to do them. In this video, we're going to dive into that, and it's going to be an experiential happening. So I really do encourage you to be present, be performing these pranayamas along with me, and this will be basically the how-to guide to perform the pranayamas throughout the sequence properly. So if you're ready for that, then awesome. Let's dive into that, and I'll start us off with the Sadguru Vandana. Nithyanandam Paramasukadam Kevalam Jnanam Murtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamasya Dilaksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadi Sakshibhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. Awesome. Welcome, Nithyanandam. If you are tuning in live, thank you so much for being here, everybody. Today is all about experiencing these pranayamas. So I want you to actually follow along with these pranayama techniques as I'm teaching you them. And this isn't an official Nithyananda Yoga class. This is something where I've just been getting a lot of questions. So I thought, what better way to answer them than through this live stream? And we can just tuck right through all the pranayamas. So before we dive into the actual technique, prana, what is it? It's the life force energy that is pervading us. It's all pervading. And also infused within us. Prana it's kind of a vibration which goes inside along with the breath, and it continues to increase our frequency and our life energy. And so when you feel that the breathing has almost stopped, let's say you're in a deep sleep or a deep meditation, it doesn't necessarily mean that there's no prana. Actually, in those moments, prana continues to go in and come out of you. And you may already know this, but I need to at least say this for those that don't quite understand, that prana is an independent function or an independent happening outside of the breath. So it's something that we are constantly engaged in, that we don't even realize it. One way of increasing the prana is very much through the breath. And the one way I love visualizing this is a delivery truck that comes to your door. They take out the package, and then the delivery driver or the truck driver gives you the package. The package itself is prana, and the truck is the air. It is the breath. So what we're actually receiving is that package. The essence is the life force energy that we are receiving. The one main thing that you need to understand is that when there are more thoughts, the breath will carry a lesser amount of energy, a lesser amount of life force energy or prana. And vice versa, when there's less thoughts, that's when the breath, the life force energy is actually increased. And what my guru says, Bhagavan Nithyananda says, the practice of breathing without thoughts being awakened within you is called the science of pranayama. So what we're really practicing here is breathing without thoughts in a sense. Now there's a various different number of pranayamas that are available that have been revived through the scriptures. Today, 8 of those are part of the Prathama Vinyasa Krama, the 108 Asana sequence. Each one of these pranayamas affects the body in a different way. Some may stimulate the body, some may really stimulate the mind, some may just completely help you go beyond mind, some will increase the internal fire within you. And as we go along, you'll understand that and you'll learn more about what each type of pranayama can provide for you. One other thing that you need to understand is that there's different vayus or movements of prana. So prana has different functions. For instance, one is prana, another is apana, udana, samana, vyana, naga, kurama, krikra, devata, and dhananjaya. So these different vayus, these different movements of functions of prana have different purposes. And I'm not going to dive into each one of those, but just understanding prana, for instance, is the respiration. Udana is actually the secretion. Vyana is where it's pervading the whole body, and it's the governing or the various movements of the prana. Samana is it's like the distribution. And when we would dance with kirtans with our guru, he would just be sitting there and we'd be dancing and enjoying. And in those moments, that's where samana energy is just most absorbed. And I have an understanding that it's because the pores are all opened up, and it's just like our guru is sitting there. And if you're in his breathing space, you can just absorb all of that prana, all the samana energy through each part of your body. And I just kind of imagine it when you're just standing there and all of a sudden you're just hit by this big ray of light, almost like you're standing in like a suntan booth or something. That energy, that light is just overwhelming you. That is a samana energy. And then the other energy that I'm going to touch base on is apana. And that's where it's the excretion. So apana moves out of the body through your urine, your feces. And this is the energy that we're really consciously trying to maintain within us. When you're able to maintain apana energy within you, it can then flow and circulate throughout the body. And so this is one reason why Mula Bandha is constantly engaged. This is one reason why you should avoid ejaculation if you're practicing a brahmacharya. That is flowing out through apana energy. Okay, so these are the different movements of the vayus of prana. So real quick before we start on the first pranayama, why are we practicing pranayama? Breathing life energy without thoughts getting awakened. When you do this, in the Srimat Sarvanyottara Agama, Shiva says the sadhaka incinerates all the defilements. So all the defilements, he becomes capable of nullifying the effects of even those qualities which do not decay. So basically, in essence, this is an anti-aging technique. Focusing and having a strict and authentic pranayama practice is an anti-aging technique. He doesn't use the exact term anti-aging, but in essence, that's what pranayama is capable of providing you. And even in the Hatha Ratnavali, this is an Apta Pramana, it is said in chapter 3, verse 82, that even the gods, like Brahma, become free from death through consistent pranayama. Therefore, one should do pranayama. So pranayama is extremely important. We should have a pranayama practice. However, you don't necessarily need to have a whole separate practice where you're just sitting and breathing for an hour or so a day. I know that some people do have this practice, and Kriya Yoga certainly does have its place. However, in our path, this Shaivite path, as we have been initiated by my guru, pranayama is a part of our yoga asana practice as well. And again, you're going to learn these 8 pranayamas and how to incorporate them into your asana practice. Okay. One understanding that you need to have is pranayama. The main component of the pranayamas in the Prathama Vinyasa Krama is actually the Kumbhakas, where you're holding the breath, because there's different components to one pranayama. That's the Recaka, the Puraka, and the Kumbhaka. So the inhalation, exhalation, and the holding. But the Kumbhaka, when you have prana within you, so you're filling your body up with prana, with the life breath, with life force energy, and you're holding it within you, this is a Kumbhaka. And when you're practicing this, Shiva is saying in the Kumbhaka Pariti that all yogis should be practicing Kumbhaka. Okay? So Kumbhaka is, it's not actually holding it in just one part of your body as well. You need to have a strong understanding that prana is everywhere. It's from your toes to the crown of your head. And therefore, a proper visualization is really important. In the Darshana Upanishad, Paramashiva says, this is a Shastra Pramana, that there's 3 points of concentration in each pranayama or each kumbhaka. In chapter 6, verse 22, he says that drawing in prana air outside and filling it up in the belly in the morning and evening, twilight's in the hour before dawn, at noon or at all times. And then he says, and holding it at the tip of the nose, in the middle of the navel, and at the big toes of the feet, the man will live for 100 years free from all diseases. So this anti-aging technique of Kumbhaka is most powerful. It's most beneficial when you're holding the visualization, holding the Kumbhaka, holding the prana at the tip of the nose, the belly, and the toes. This is making sure that the prana is everywhere, that the vayu is flowing throughout the entire body, that life force energy isn't just, you're breathing in and it's stuck in your stomach. It's everywhere in your body. Okay. So with that, what we're going to do is we're going to dive into the 8 pranayamas or the 8 kumbhakas of the Prathama Vinyasa Krama. Okay, so if you watch this on the recording and you're not quite ready, hit pause and come back and then really dive into these, because this is an experiential practice. And if you're with me live, welcome everybody. Excited to have you here. I hope you guys get a ton from this. I know that I've had a lot of questions asking about this. So today we're going to dive into that, and I hope that you enjoy. So the first pranayama of the Prathama Vinyasa Krama, and you're seated down in a seated posture. You're in Sukhasana, in Asana 1. And you can start sweating within the first 5 asanas, which are all not there's not a ton of movement in them, and you're seated in these postures. You can start sweating if you are performing this pranayama properly, along with the bandhas that are a part of these asanas. Now, the first asana is Samana Kombucha. Not the first asana, the first pranayama is Samana Kombucha. This comes from the Kumbhaka Padati. And the description is when this vayu is filled up into the navel and held with concentration on fire, it is Samana Kombucha. So the important understanding is the concentration on fire. Okay, later says the results are control of hunger, control of thirst, increased gastric fire, quick healing of wounds and fractures. So this is a healing energy that is being released when you just have this visualization of fire within the stomach. So again, the concentration on fire is Samana Kombucha. So all you're doing with this is you're going to just be seated down, comfortably inhale through your nose. And you don't need to breathe in as much as you can. You can if you'd like. With this Kumbhaka, there's no specific description on filling in fully or not. You can do this comfortably. However, when you're breathing in, holding the breath, and then focusing and visualizing heat, fire in the navel, okay? So you're visualizing heat and fire in your navel. So let's do that. We'll take 1 minute here, or not even a minute. We'll take a few seconds here. So just slight inhalation, holding the breath. And I want you to visualize a flame, visualize a fire pit in the navel center. And then once you see that fire, I want you to imagine and feel the heat of that fire as you're holding your breath. Good. And you can exhale slowly. Now, in the Prathama Vinyasa Krama, how you perform this pranayama is actually we're engaging all three bandhas. You're in Mahamudra bandha, where you're locking the perineum floor and you're tucking your chin down and you're sucking the stomach in and up. And when you incorporate Samana Kombucha with these three mudras, it makes it even more powerful. And I'm telling you, if you do it properly with full integrity, you will start to perspirate. I always start to perspirate from these first few asanas itself, as long as you're doing it with full integrity, okay? The next asana, or the next pranayama, is Sahaja Kombucha. Okay, and Sahaja Kombucha is, and I should have explained actually, that Samana Kombucha, it's asanas 1 to 20, and then asanas 69 to 72. So the first 20 asanas are Samana Kombucha. You're maintaining this visualization of the fire, of the heat in the navel center. And then after asana 20, it is Sahaja Kombucha. And Sahaja Kombucha is from asana 21 to 30, 40 to 42, and 94 to 102. And Sahaja Kombucha is also from the Kumbhaka Paddhati. And it says that inhaling prana through the nose, carrying it along the Kundalini, one should hold it comfortably off and on. This is Sahaja Kombucha, narrated by Sri Kritivasa, who is an incarnation of Shiva. So in this pramana, it's saying that all you need to do is inhale through the nose, carrying it along the Kundalini, and holding it comfortably. So this is, again, very similar to Samana Kombucha, where you're just inhaling comfortably through the nose. And when you do that, hold, whenever you're feeling comfortably, hold your breath, and then that's it. So you're focusing, holding the breath, but the inhalation is visualizing the Kundalini, the prana flowing up through the Kundalini. Okay? So I always visualize this from the base of the spine, almost like I see it like a railroad track almost for me, where not this train, but this train of prana, this life force energy, you're drawing it up through the Muladhara chakra and pulling it up through the Kundalini and up to the Sahasrara chakra, holding the breath comfortably. That's all it is. So inhaling, holding, and for as long as you feel comfortable, you're holding your breath. Okay? So with that, we'll practice this Sahaja Kombucha. Just be seated. Make sure your head, neck, and spine is in a straight line. And I want you to just visualize, it could be a railroad track, a string. Just visualize this energy drawing from outside, coming up through the Muladhara chakra, pulling it up through the Kundalini as you're inhaling, holding the breath once it gets to the Sahasrara chakra, and comfortably hold your breath for a short period of time. There you go. And then you can slowly release, and that is Sahaja Kombucha. That's the second pranayama of the Prathama Vinyasa Krama. Okay? The third pranayama is one of my favorites. It is Brahmari Kumbhaka. It's from Asana 31 to 39 and 43 to 46. Brahmari Kumbhaka comes from the Hatha Tattva Kamadi. And in chapter 10, verse 18, the Pramana says that one inhales forcefully to produce the sound resembling that of a male bee, and exhales very slowly, creating a sound similar to that of a female bee. This technique fills the mind of a yogi with an exceptionally ecstatic feeling. So in this Brahmari Kumbhaka, you do it in a few different forms, a few different asanas. One is actually an inversion as well, where you're like a bee. And whenever I do that, I feel just like this vibration on the crown center. And it is an ecstatic feeling. It is 100% an ecstatic feeling. But the technique is actually, there's a lot of questions behind how to do this properly. This pramana itself gives the exact breakdown of how to do that. So if at first you're forcefully inhaling through your nose, and this is to, as the pramana says, to resemble the sound of a male bee, meaning it's more rugged, it's more it's not as soothing as the exhalation, but it's a quick inhalation through the nose. Okay, and you're trying to have a little bit of a restriction. I don't know if you can hear that, but so you're restricting the air as it's coming in. Okay, and you can kind of play around with that sensation. Okay, but it's somewhat of a quicker inhalation, and then the exhalation is a nice long, slower, soothing, more soothing sound, which is that of a female bee, which is so just imagine like if you were just hum, but with this, you're not doing it as loudly as you can. Okay, it's not as loud as you can. There is a different technique where you hum as loud as you can, and that's actually a part of a whole different meditation, the Nithyananda meditation, the life bliss meditation, where you're actually humming as loud as you can. In this, we're not trying to hum as loud as we can. It's a softer sound, but it is that same restriction where it's imagine a bee buzzing around you. So the best way to describe this is if a bee is 10 feet away from you, you can't normally hear it. But if a bee is, let's say, 3 feet away from you, you could probably hear it. And then obviously the closer it is, the more you can hear it. But so understanding if somebody's 10 feet away from you, they shouldn't really be able to hear you. So that's the type of the buzzing that you should be giving. Again, that's on the exhalation. The inhalation is more of a rugged sound. And again, it's almost like a snoring type restriction that you're engaging. But it's a shorter burst or a shorter inhalation. It's more of a forced inhalation. Okay, so kind of like the snoring. And so you have to kind of play around with that. And we could try that right now. We're inhaling, again, forcefully, resembling that of a male bee in Brahmari Kumbhaka, and then holding the breath, and then exhaling in the female bee. So a more of a longer, slower, smoother, soothing type sound as opposed to the inhalation. So that is Brahmari Kumbhaka. Okay. So again, this is one of my favorites, especially when we're doing the inversion with Brahmari Kumbhaka. As I said, you really do feel it at the Sahasrara chakra. For me at least, I know exactly the feeling is of that of ecstasy, and it's just cool because that's my Sakshi Pramana, and it aligns perfectly to this Apta Pramana. So give this a practice, give this a try. If you're watching this recorded and you want to pause the video, you can do that. But we'll move on to our next pranayama or kumbhaka, which is actually just Recaka Kumbhaka, which is from Asana 47 to 68. And all Recaka Kumbhaka is, it's exhaling. So it's the controlled exhalation. And in the Kumbhaka Paddhati, it says that by practice of Recaka, control of exhalation, one also controls all the vayus. And by controlling the vayus, one simultaneously gets results. So all we're focusing on is the slow, controlled exhalation of the breath, and then holding that. And what this is doing is, as you learn to control a nice, long, slow exhalation and holding your breath, you're learning to control how the prana moves throughout the body. So it becomes like a skill to be able to like move prana. Like let's say you have really cold feet, for instance. You can literally play with the energy within you and create more heat down at your feet. If for some reason you want to pull all this energy up and you want to just sit in a deep space of bliss, well, I would visualize pulling all of this prana from the feet, from the knees, the thighs, from the Muladhara chakra, and pulling it up through each chakra and letting it sit at the top of the Sahasrara. This power comes available to you when you're actually able to control a nice, long, slow exhalation in Recaka Kumbhaka. So all you're doing with this is you're basically inhaling, and then a nice, very long, slow exhalation, as long and slow as you can do. And then you're going to hold your breath for a certain period of time, however long you feel comfortable. Okay? So holding the breath as long as you feel comfortable, but the exhalation itself is a part of the Kumbhaka. It's the main component of the Kumbhaka. Okay, so you're inhaling. Nice, long, slow exhalation. Continue exhaling out all the air and then holding for as long as you feel comfortable. Then when you feel ready, inhaling, filling up the lungs fully, and then again, nice, long, slow, controlled exhalation. And then holding. And then you can release. So this is Recaka Kumbhaka. Very simple, basic pranayama, just controlling, focusing on the exhalation, a nice, long, slow exhalation. Okay, then the next pranayama is Sitkari Kumbhaka, which is asana 73 to 91, and then also asana 93. Sitkari pranayama, or Sitkari Kumbhaka, also comes from the Kumbhaka Paddhati in verses 137 to 140. And the exact translation is turning the tongue upwards, producing the sound sit, inhale the air. So you're going to lift your tongue up against the roof of your mouth, almost like in Kachari Mudra, not almost like, but like in Kachari Mudra. I don't know if you guys can see this, but you're pressing the tongue up against the roof of the mouth. Then what you're doing is inhaling. So that sit sound. Okay. After holding the breath, it goes on to say, exhale through both the nostrils while making frictional sound. So you're inhaling, holding the breath, and then exhaling through both nostrils with a frictional sound. So that's if you know Ujjayi Pranayama, the same restriction when you're inhaling and exhaling, that's the friction that you're looking for. So imagine it coming from the air doesn't come from right here, like how you're blowing your nose. Imagine the air is coming from more in the back of the nasal cavity, in this kind of region, but in here. And it's kind of like from above the throat center. That's where the air should be coming out from. That's the frictional sound. So it goes on to say, concentrate on the tongue pressed and the sound, so the sit sound, along with the prana. So you're concentrating on the sit and the visualization of the prana coming in through Sitkari Kumbhaka. And this is called Sitkari Kumbhaka, it says, which contributes to all the accomplishments. With the practice of Sitkari Kumbhaka, one controls the Cupid, the god of love, and becomes handsome. So you could tell I've been practicing this all along. It helps control hunger, sleep, laziness, disease, and one becomes free from the problems of health. The yogi enjoys the multitude of powers, such as creation. So this is an extremely powerful Kumbhaka, an extremely powerful pranayama. Okay, so in the Kumbhaka Padati, it's saying that it can help you control hunger, sleep, laziness, disease. You can become free of all health problems, and you can enjoy a multitude of powers such as creation. So you want to be able to manifest anything that you want. Master Sitkari Kumbhaka. And again, we can practice that together right now. We're going to turn your tongue up against the roof of the mouth. You're going to inhale, visualizing prana coming in with the sound sit. Hold it, hold the Kumbhaka, and then exhale with the exhalation coming out with a frictional sound. Okay, so it'll be inhaling, first tongue against the roof of the mouth, inhaling sit, holding the Kumbhaka, and then after some time, releasing with the friction coming from not here, not from like the tip of the nose, but deep in the nasal cavity. Not up here either, but like deep. It's like in this region. I keep pointing like right here, but it's in this region. Okay? This is Sitkari Kumbhaka. So if we want to try this together, one more time. Tongue up against the roof of the mouth. Inhaling with a sit sound. Visualizing prana as you're inhaling. Holding that Kumbhaka. And then slowly exhaling with that friction sound coming from the back of the nasal cavity. Sitkari Kumbhaka. Okay? So the next, we're getting a call here. 1 second. Okay, sorry about that, everybody. So with Sitkari Kumbhaka, I think we can kind of wrap that one up, but it is a very powerful Kumbhaka. All you need to do is focus on the prana coming in, tongue lifted up, sit sound, holding the Kumbhaka. After some time, you're going to release with a frictional sound coming out through both of the noses, okay? The next pranayama is there's only one pranayama, or one time that this happens, and that's on the 90-second asana, and that is in Padmasana. So in Padmasana, we're performing Sitali Kumbhaka. And in this, it's this very similar, but the Akashic revelation is from the Hatha Tattva Kamadi, chapter 10, verse 16. It says, one draws the tongue out to press them against the teeth and takes the air in. So rather than the tongue pressed up against the roof of the mouth, it's pressed against the teeth. Then you slowly leave the air out through the roof of the nose. So first you're going to have that same inhalation sound, holding it, and then slowly exhaling through the air out through the roof of the nose as before, till he feels the sensation at the tip of the hair and nails. So there's a real subtle concentration that's involved in this. And again, this is a part of Padmasana. So you're sitting in Padmasana, your tongue is pressed up against the roof, or not the roof of the mouth now, against the teeth. Inhaling, holding the visualization, or holding the breath rather, and then you're exhaling through the roof of the nostrils. And you're focusing on this. You should be able to feel, like it should be really igniting the sense of feeling to the point where you can feel the sensation. It's saying at the tip of the hair and nails. So you should be able to feel that on your hair. So it's a very intense, deep, deep, deep space that this brings you into. Okay, so you're inhaling through the mouth, inhaling through the mouth with the tongue pressed up against the back of the teeth, rather than Sitkari pranayama, where the tongue is pressed up against the roof of the mouth. Okay, pressed up against the back of the teeth. Inhaling, so that sound is kind of there still, similarly to Sitkari. Then you're going to slowly, after the Kumbhaka, let the air out through the roof of the nose. There's no restriction sound here, but it is in the same way coming out. So it's not coming out from just this point. It's coming from a deeper part of the nasal cavity, the roof of the nasal cavity. And then you should feel the sensation, it's saying, at the tip of the hair and nails. Okay, so we can try this all one together. Tongue up against the back of the teeth. Holding the breath. After some time, releasing the air coming out through the roof of the nose. And then focusing on the hairs of your body, the tips of your fingernails. Can you feel the sensation? This is Sitali Kumbhaka. Okay? And then this brings us to our last pranayama, it'd be second last, which is Bhastrika. Bhastrika is part of Asanas 103 to 106. And although you're not sitting in Padmasana or seated down in a posture, which it does describe that you can be doing and could be doing this in Padmasana, etc. You can do this in other postures. And the ones that you're doing Bhastrika in, they're intense, especially for the core. If you've practiced the Prathama Vinyasa Krama, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's a very intense part of the sequence. Bhastrika comes from, there's a few different pramanas, a few different source references for this. The one that I'm going to read off now is from the Yoga Sikopanishad, verses 96 to 100. And it says that the practitioner should intelligently expel with speed the air in the body. Okay, so you're intelligently expelling the air with speed out of the body or in the body. And it says out of the two breaths. So you're expelling it out of the two breaths, meaning the lungs, the nostrils. And then likewise, you should inhale. So you're expelling and then inhaling through the same nostrils, through the same breaths. till you're overcome with fatigue. Okay? The Pramana does continue on and gives a description of what you should do after you become fatigued. However, specifically focusing on the Prathama Vinyasa Krama, we don't perform that aspect, the second half of this pranayama. We focus on just this first component, which is the inhalation exhalation. Okay, which is you're focusing on inhaling, exhaling through the nose, and what you're doing is it's like this quick stomach-like movement. I know you're not able to see my stomach, but as you're doing that, this ignites the Kundalini like you would not believe. If you've never done this, you will sweat just from practicing Bhastrika for, even if you did it for 1 minute, you might start to perspirate. It's in a very intense pranayama. Now, just to give context on the second half of this pranayama, the reference says that when fatigue comes on the body, you should then fill the air in through the solar nadi. And then after constricting the throat, you should expel it through the lunar nadi. So you're doing a different pranayama afterwards. However, in the asana sequence that we are performing, we don't take a pause to do this, which is why I'm not going to break that part down. Okay? In another pramana, this is from Hatha Pradipika Svatmarama in chapter 5, verse 173. It goes on to say that a yogi sitting in Vajrasana should activate Kundalini and thereafter should practice Bhastrika. Thus, Kundalini is easily awakened. So it doesn't necessarily, it activates Kundalini, but and it doesn't necessarily need to be in Vajrasana, but you should activate. So you should focus on the Kundalini. You should focus on your Kundalini. And that is at the base of the spine. So you can, in a sense, you can focus on Muladhara chakra, this bright white ball of energy, like a sun sitting in the base of your spine. And you can just imagine like this snake coiling up and twirling around the spine. This is just focusing on Kundalini and performing Bhastrika in this way. Okay? The more that you do this, the easier it comes. It is something that like normally people can only do for a few seconds, and it's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just practice. You just need to continuously work at it. And I would highly recommend practicing this on the side. So in the Prathama Vinyasa Krama, we do it and we're doing different asanas, and they're not necessarily where you're simply sitting in Vajrasana or Padmasana or just in a comfortable seated position. You're in positions where you're intensely engaging the core itself already. So it even just adds even so much more intensity to it. But with that, we'll practice this. And this is our most intense pranayama. So all you're going to do is focus on short bursts, inhaling and exhaling, coming out of the nose. But don't just do it through the nose. Notice how your stomach starts to move a bit, right? This is the diaphragm pushing up against the lungs. So rather than focusing on here, I want you to focus on the movement happening in the stomach, at the diaphragm. And as you do this, focus on Kundalini. So if your Kundalini is already awakened, if your Kundalini was awakened by Bhagavan Nithyananda, definitely 100% visualize the Kundalini here. It intensifies even more. Like there's a huge difference between not visualizing the Kundalini, not engaging the Kundalini, and actually engaging it and visualizing it. Without a doubt, like it's way more powerful. You will experience the energy flowing up even more so. So if your Kundalini is awakened, and even if it's not, make sure, I would say the most important part of Bhastrika, in my opinion, is if you have not yet mastered the breathing technique, if you just understand to visualize Kundalini, That's your intention. It's like you're setting a mini intention for this pranayama, for this kumbhaka. And when you do that, it is so intense, okay? So take a moment, visualize your Kundalini right now, curling, starting from the base of the spine, curling up through the body. From that space, now short, quick bursts, inhalation, exhalation through the nose, coming and pushing up through the stomach from the diaphragm, okay? Okay, so just a few seconds of that, like I can normally just play with my Kundalini quite easily, but after doing Bhastrika, I can shoot it up and even get it a little bit higher, because it's always really intense for me between Muladhara and, I would say, it almost gets to Anahata chakra for me, but it doesn't quite, just on a daily basis. But after Bhastrika, I noticed that it right away, just those few seconds, I can shoot it up a tiny bit higher. Yeah, it comes up closer to Anahata chakra for me. So this is a visualization as much as it is a physical pranayama. The visualization is really important with it. So if you guys are here with me, we got one last pranayama of the Prathama Vinyasa Krama, the Murcha Kumbhaka it's called. This is also from Hatha Tattva Kamari. Chapter 10, verse 19, it says that inhale and retain the air firmly, adopting Jalandhara Bandha, and then exhale slowly. While you're exhaling though, you're maintaining Jalandhara Bandha. So this is called Manu Murcha Kumbhaka or Murcha Kumbhaka, which brings about a state of swooning to a yogi. So a state of swooning when you're performing this Kumbhaka. Now, Murcha Kumbhaka is only done through Jalandhara Bandha. And this happens through, there's only actually one asana where you're performing this, and that is Unmukha Pitta, Unmukha Pitta 2. So that you're lying on your back and you're going to have your feet flat, you press the feet down and you're lifting the hips up and you're on your shoulders and your feet. You're tucking your chin in Jalandhara Bandha. Inhale, retain the air, and then firmly holding Jalandhara Bandha, you exhale slowly. Okay? So this can be done in a seated posture as well. In the Prathama Vinyasa Krama, it's done in Unmukha Pitta 2. So hold your breath after a complete inhalation. From there, tuck your chin down, and then you're going to slowly exhale through the nose. And this is Murcha Kumbhaka. Okay, so we'll do this one more time. Inhaling through the nose. Fill up the lungs, tuck the chin down, right up against the chest as close as you can get, and then slowly exhaling through the nose. And that's Murcha Kumbhaka. Okay? So with that, that is all of the 8 pranayamas of the Prathama Vinyasa Krama. If you perform these with each one with integrity, and you practice it and you're really authentic with it, I can 100% guarantee it is only going to completely change your yoga practice. You will experience more Kundalini Shakti. You'll experience prana flowing through your body more intensely. You will notice a 100% difference if you're engaging these pranayamas perfectly. So I know right now if you're to follow the Prathama Vinyasa Krama, if you're interested in, let's say you've never actually done it, there is 2 different versions online where you can just follow through, and there's a lot to it. It's the most complicated asana sequence, but it's the most intense, it's the most authentic, and it's the most powerful. without a doubt, in my opinion, there's no better sequence on the planet today, because it incorporates all of the components that should be a part of your yoga practice. And each little component brings this like whole new flavor and essence, and it completely overstimulates your mind, your body, and ignites Kundalini 100%. And that's I mean, from the very end, the very last asana, you're laying in Shivasana, and Shakti Chalan Mudra is where you're engaging your Kundalini. You're just actively shooting the Kundalini up. It is so powerful. It is the time of the day where my Kundalini is most charged, most powerful, where I can just like easily like get into like this blissful state just through Shakti Chalan Mudra. And it's because of not just these pranayamas that we went over today, but all the other components as well. So if you're interested, definitely at least give yourself a shot at learning the Nithyananda Yoga sequence. There's a lot that's happening with it, but just jump into it. Start. If you can't understand what the visualizations are, or you're still not fully understanding how to perform each of the pranayamas, that's fine. At least start and follow along with the asanas. Then slowly try to tack on and add in the bandhas. Make your practice more authentic. Then add on the pranayamas. The more that you do this, the more integrated and authentic you align yourself to the sequence and to yoga in general, to the ritual of yoga, the more intense it'll awaken your Kundalini, and the more blissful you'll be, and the more spiritual experiences you'll happen, and then just your life in general and every dimension will be improved. And that's from my own experience on that as well. So if you were here live, awesome. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to jump to our Q&A now. So if anybody had any questions specifically on this, we'll see what we got here. Mr. Perez, Nithyanandam, Tina, Nithyanandam, the Fruit Yogi, yes, Nithyanandam. Steven, what's up, bro? Just jumped on. Welcome, Steven. Safia, Nithyanandam. She says you're grateful for making this video. Well, I'm glad that that you're enjoying. Ocean Space, cheers, Nithyanandam. Dexter, Nithyanandam. Sovereign, hey buddy. Nithyanandam, how are you doing? Love you too. Rizwana, Nithyanandam. Sophia, Kriyas in yoga means the poses or the movement into the poses. So like the book, Kriya Yoga Sutras means the sutras of yoga and its movements. Is this correct understanding? So Kriya it's a technique. Kriya does not necessarily mean just pranayama. It's a technique or a practice. So for instance, Shuddhi Kriyas. The Shuddhi Kriyas that we perform every morning, those are also Kriyas, where you're just practicing Neti Pat, Jalabasti, the enema, the eye wash. These are Kriyas. These are practices. So it doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be done in a specific pose or anything like that. However, there are Kriyas that are done in certain postures, certain asanas, with certain breathing techniques as well. So with that question, like it's not like completely one answer for that. Sovereign, you look amazing too, buddy. Sophia is asking, pranayama is considered a kriya as well. Yes, pranayama is also considered a kriya. I is asking, do you find yourself holding this elevated awareness of the actions of the body even when the practice has moved from one frame to another? It's like a sweet candy in my mouth and I feel like I'm eating the air and growling. Even notice the priests in the mummy can jump like frogs and play with gravity. So there's a lot that was said there, but I would say that in general, yeah, my consciousness is 100% elevated between 2014 to today. It's almost 6 years now where I've been really serious about my yoga practice. And I've only experienced higher states of consciousness, higher states of bliss, more intuition. Just my life is completely different. The way I see reality, like there's times where I sit in a room and all of a sudden I'm just like, I'm completely overwhelmed with this moment or this space of like, I'm like, everything is me. And I just get lost in that. So everything, my whole life has elevated, and the sweet candy in your mouth, the sweet taste, like I know exactly what you're talking about. So yes, what you're saying is 100%. And all I can say is the more that you practice with integrity, this yoga sequence, the Prathama, Vinyasa, Krama, like the more bliss you're gonna experience. Like I just start talking about, I just start thinking about an experience I have with it, and before I even start talking, I start to re-experience that bliss. So I don't care what anybody says. Like I'm not making this up. Like you can't fake this. It's real. It's tangible. All I can say is do it. Practice it. Start it yourself. Tina, I love you too. And you're also amazing. Petrakter is asking, do you live in an ashram? How do you manage your expenses? You look like an ascetic. I don't live in an ashram right now. I used to. I lived in Bhagavan Nithyananda's ashram for 3 years, and he initiated me as one of his yoga acharyas to practice and live an authentic yogic lifestyle. And today, I don't normally wear all of my bhasma. I'm basically always dressed with my rudraksha and kumkum, but I don't always have my bhasma on. I really should. But today was like more of a class, so I wanted to make sure I conducted it with integrity and make sure that I had bhasma on me as well. I'm not an aesthetic. However, I have so much reverence and respect for those that are. It was very humbling, and I'm so grateful actually to have lived with, countless monks, hundreds of monks over the past 3 years, and it was a very deep and expanding time of my life, and I'm extremely grateful for it, and I'm excited to go back. If anybody has never lived in an ashram, but in particular in Nithyananda's ashram, it is the most powerful, most intense, most expanding way to possibly live. And don't go there if you're just some seeker that's not really interested and you just kind of want to see a few things and try a few meditations. That's not for you. It's not the place. It is for serious seekers that are serious about enlightenment. If you're serious about enlightenment, then 100% go there. It is the best decision you can make at any point. Petrakter, I see that you're asking to take questions, so I apologize for the delay in answering them, but I hope you're still here for that. Lalita-san, many hearts to you as well. Rashad, Jesus, you're getting more enlightened every time I see you. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate that. It's just Swamiji's energy flowing through me. Do Nithyananda yoga. That's all I can say. I saying I push energy at specific ideals like love and the chakras, so that their variations will present themselves when they feel acknowledged by time, not money. Everything is love. Tell Narayan, from which book is this from? So I'll put a link in the description of a free PDF book that has all these pramanas. Okay, so these are not from Patanjali Yoga Sutras, actually. These are various different Shastra pramanas. So these are coming from Shiva himself, whether that's the Shiva Samhita, through the various Upanishads. Then there's the Apta pramanas. So we have some scriptures coming, such as the Kumbhaka Padati. Then we have Atma pramanas coming from Swamiji, which is actually none of these techniques that I gave today, these pranayama techniques, were from Swamiji himself. Everything is either Shastra or Apta Pramana. So it's either coming from directly from Shiva himself or from the rishis or sages. And then just at the beginning, I gave one Atma Pramana, which was Swamiji's description of what pranayama is. And then just throughout this, I've given my own Sakshi Pramana as well. But I will put a link in the description of the book, 1008 Pramanas from the source that Swamiji's gifted to the world. He's revived various different palm leaves, brought them back to life. And I mean, he's graciously giving this away for free. So definitely check out the link. I'll post that as soon as we're done this live stream. Sorry, I'm just scrolling through. There's some conversation amongst you all that I'm not going to talk about. Tell Narayan, amazing insights, visualization, deepest gratitude, and gratitude, Drita. Please, all gratitude that you have, if you're at all thankful for this, this was not me. This is my guru. This was his revelations. I'm just basically regurgitating and teaching what he's revealed to everybody. So this is very much a gift for all of you from him, not me, but thank you very much for tuning in and just being a part. I do appreciate that. Oh, I almost lost my spot. Can you list the names of the pranayamas in the comments? I'll push, so as soon as I'm done, I'll list out each one of the pranayamas as well in the description also, okay? That was for you, Cole. Laura, I had my Kundalini awakened by Swamiji, but I haven't felt it rise. Does that mean it has not risen? So I'm assuming, Laura, that you know your Kundalini was awakened because you felt something. So for me, it was a very, 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 very subtle happening, but it was like a spark. It was like just like there was no snap in the finger, but there was a spark that happened, and I just knew, whoa, that was like Kundalini. It was like something from deep within my core that came from like near the base of the spine, and it was just like this little prick that shot up no higher than my belly button. And when it happened, I was just sitting there, and it was during a meditation. Swamiji said, Om Namah Shivaya, and it just like shot up, and I was like, oh, I just knew that's Kundalini, and it awakened. It wasn't really until I started nurturing that sensation through yoga, through practicing intensely. And I promise you, if you, Laura, or anybody else that has their Kundalini awakened or does not yet have an awakened, the Prathama Vinyasa Krama is an initiation into that. Is a Kundalini initiation. And the more that you practice it with integrity and authenticity, the more it's going to activate, the more you're going to be able to play with it. Now, during the Prathama Vinyasa Krama, the very last asana is Shivasana. Shakti Chalan Mudra is where you, like, I can just like consciously play with it, engage the Kundalini, and you're lying there. That is honestly, it's the time where you should most focus on having that Kundalini rise up you. So during the entire sequence, it's all about like kindling this fire, this Kundalini, and getting it flowing up and up and up. But at the very end, in Shavasana, Shakti Chalan Mudra is all about playing with it and shooting it up, and like really just, you're doing nothing but laying there like a corpse and just like actively trying to shoot this energy up. It's the time where your body is most ready and most prepared. Your nadis are purified. Your system is completely clean and detoxified as much as it's going to be in that specific day, at least. And it's the time where Kundalini is most available to activate. So I highly recommend 100% doing Prathama Vinyasa Krama every day during Brahma Muhurta, and really focusing at the very end, Shivasana, Shakti Chalan Mudra, engaging that Kundalini, shooting it up. Like I can subtly feel the energy shooting up through my Sahasrara chakra, and I know that's the potential, but the intensity of it is mainly just here, like up until Anahata. But then I know the more that I practice, the more that I stay consistent and integrated to my yoga practice, it'll continue to come higher. The intensity won't just stay in these lower regions. It will shoot up higher. I know that without a doubt. So if you're like Laura, your Kundalini is awakened, or you're not like Laura and your Kundalini is not awakened, it will rise, but you need to do your part. So Swamiji did his part. He said, hey, you're awakened now. Don't eat veg, or sorry, don't eat meat. So you're eating only veg food. Don't drink alcohol. Keep your body clean of all toxins. So eat organic. You got to do your part, right? Listen to satsang, do yoga. If you're doing all of your parts, then that's how it's going to happen. And if you are, and you're already doing those things, and you're just feeling a little bit of frustration, that's fine as well. Stay focused, stay integrated to the path. And I promise you, I guarantee you, it will continue to raise. The Kundalini will intensify. So I hope that helps, Laura. Sorry, I'm just seeing. Mr. Perez, thanks, Drita. I have to watch this a few times over. Yeah, definitely watch it a few times if you're not still getting it. And I would say like it won't come right away. It 100%. I mean, I shouldn't say 100%. Like you might be one of those people that just gets it right away. And if you do, awesome. But just watch it a few times through if you're serious about your practice. So again, like it's available. Inner Awakening is available online. My Guru's main program is available online for free. But are you going to do it? That's the question. Are you going to take the time to invest into your own spiritual practice to expand yourself, to expand consciousness, to awaken Kundalini, to live more blissfully? Everything is available online. This is now available to you. All you got to do is just practice it. Get used to the sequence, get used to the pranayamas. And when you do, it'll intensify more and more. Sophia is saying, Judah, I'm still confused about this Kriya thing. Someone said Kriya are when the body jerks. The jerking reaction that occurs are said to be Kriyas. I don't know. I'm not going to speak on that. I don't know anything about jerking being the Kriya. Kriyas are a technique. They are a practice. There are various different types of Kriyas. You can have a Kriya for healing yourself. There are 108 different Kriyas for various different ailments that Swamiji's released. So if you have asthma, for instance, you'll sit in a certain asana, a certain posture, and you'll have a certain type of pranayama, and this is a Kriya for healing asthma. Asthma. See how I said that? Asthma. It's a Kriya for asthma. Asthma. Now I'm saying asthma, weird. But so there's different kriyas for different purposes. There's kriyas for cleansing the body, detoxifying the body. I've never heard of kriyas are happening when the body jerks. If there's a pramana out there that you've heard this from, or you just heard it from some random guy on YouTube, maybe give me your source and I'll look into that for you. But just since I touched base on that, I always really am constantly beating down this, like, please, please, please only listen to people that are teaching from source references, from scriptural references. There's people teaching Bhastrika that are not at all what Bhastrika is. Today I read out the actual Akashic revelation, the translation itself of what Bhastrika is as per what Shiva says. Therefore, it's not my interpretation at all. It's not my teaching. This is not my technique. I am not the most, greatest yogi on the planet, but I am extremely authentic. And I'll always say, no, unless this is coming from a source reference, which is a Shastra Pramana, or from an Apta Pramana, which is either Shiva or a Rishi or a sage, or from an enlightened master, such as my guru, then I'm not gonna teach that. I'm not gonna teach something that Joe, that's practiced Kundalini yoga for 3 years, has discovered and put in all these different pranayama techniques. I'm not a proponent of that in any way. And anybody that is teaching those things, I don't agree with that at all. If they are enlightened, then I will say, okay, like, you've put together this system. What is it? Does it align to anything that the sages have said, that the rishis have said, to any other enlightened masters? So constantly align and acid wash everything that you're listening to. Okay, that is how cults start, where someone just starts up their own thing and says, this is the best, but there's no proof actually. Nobody can ever take away from me that my Kundalini is not awakened. It's freaking awakened. I just think about it. I get uncontrollable bliss. Nobody can take away that from me. My Kundalini is awakened. This is my Sakshi Pramana, my experience. So from this experience, how did it happen for me? It happened through my guru's initiation. He just said Om Namah Shivaya during a meditation, boom, it shoots up. Now that was my experience. Now, how can I authenticate this? Well, if you go to the Hatha Tattva Kamari, it says the guru can awaken Kundalini like batting a snake with a stick. And that's exactly what happened with me. It was just like ching, like a snake getting beaten like a stick is a really good explanation or visualization. All of a sudden this thing just shot up out of nowhere, just like woke up. And so I can align my Sakshi Pramana, my experience, to what happened, which was my guru initiated me. He is an enlightened being, an avatar. So that would be an Atma Pramana, and it aligns to an Apta Pramana, which is that a rishi, a sage, says that the guru awakens your Kundalini, like beating it with a stick. And then, of course, this aligns to various different Shastra Pramanas. There's not just one reference. There's multiple references that say guru awakens Kundalini. And that's exactly what's happened. So from that's where I declare myself as an authority, not because I've discovered all this stuff. It's just like this, my experience has been aligned to all these other enlightened beings, all these other yogis, masters, rishis, sages, avatars. That's the only reason why I feel I have an authoritative word on things, because it's not my word. The word is from the scriptures and it aligns with the experiences that I have. Okay, so this isn't Drita ego time. This is only, look, this is what the scriptures say. This is what my guru says. This is exactly what my experience is. That's the truth. Nobody can ever take that away from me. Kaushik saying, in Hinduism, there's a saying, if you do good things and have family, continue with both your heart, God will more bless you. Family religion is a big religion, so please, Mary, have family. I am Hindu too. I would say, yeah, that there is a path called Grihastha where you have a family, but my wife and I are 100% proponents, actually. We don't always speak about this, but we're proponents of people taking the path of Brahmacharya, which is leading you to the most ultimate experience, which is liberation, moksha, which is the true purpose. Yes, there's other purposes of life, but the ultimate purpose is moksha, liberation. So wherever you are in this moment, we are big time proponents, not just myself, my wife as well, of people taking the path of Brahmacharya, at least tasting it before marriage. And that's one thing we both have said. If we didn't get married, we would both have taken that path. We both would have at least tasted it. So I highly recommend to Kaushik or anybody before marriage actually tasting that path, because you don't know what's on the other side. It's an incredible lifestyle. I can't say your name because it's in Sanskrit, but nice, you're going to a right way of life. Thank you, my friend. Only the blessings of my guru. And Kola is saying, once your Kundalini is awakened the first time, you will experience more of that and more intensive each time. it has increased in intensity. My Kundalini is definitely increased as, you know, my life evolved from 2014 when I was awakened to almost 6 years now. It's definitely increased in intensity. But there's been times where it's kind of been stale. And I know that's because of me. Like, I haven't been very integrated to my practice. So being more integrated to your practice will mean that the intensity of Kundalini will raise. And you're also saying once Kundalini is awakened the first time, so like you can have your Kundalini awakened and then lose it. It's possible if you choose to start eating meat, if you choose to start drinking alcohol, if you choose to start doing things, living in a very negative, dull environment, start listening to false truths like what's happening with my guru right now. The more that you do that, Kundalini is, it's gonna like draw back like a turtle, like its head drawing back into its shell. And it's very damaging because it takes more effort, it takes more time to actually awaken it again. You're just damaging your system more and more and more unless you're really nurturing that Kundalini. So if your Kundalini is awakened to anybody out there, nurture that, cherish it, protect it, enrich it, expand it, ignite it. And you do that through yoga. You do that through kriyas. You do that through listening to spiritual truths, satsangs. Of course, if your Kundalini was awakened through my guru, you listen to his satsangs. So 100%, if your Kundalini is awakened, and even if it's not, you should be living as if it was awakened. You should be always living an authentic, clean, pure, detoxifying lifestyle, fully integrated to the path that you're on, living your truths, speaking only positivity, expanding, enriching. And I'm not saying I'm the saint and I'm doing this perfectly as well. This is what we're all working on. But as long as that's your intention and you're constantly realigning yourself and you're willing to take acknowledgement and reassess and realign, that's what matters. So thank you for asking that question, Nicole. Your parents, what thinks when you see in this lifestyle? Yeah, just did an Instagram post on that, actually. If you're not following me on Instagram, I would actually really appreciate that, because I think it would enrich you in a different way. My videos and my Instagram is different content. I'm more open about just my personal life and my blogs. I see Instagram as more of a blog for me. So at least lately I've started to be doing that. So if you want to like get more of a in-look depth at my heart and how I see certain things happening in my day-to-day, and for instance, how my parents accepted me in this lifestyle. I did do a post on that just yesterday talking about this. So if you're interested in that, I won't even answer that. They'll say, just go to my Instagram and check it out. And in the short, it was something where I used to worry a lot about what they would think. And they had a tough time accepting it at first, but after some time, they began to accept it. And it was only because I started to accept it myself. I really started to embrace the path that I was on and the being that I was becoming and being more integrated to myself. So that was a good question, though. You are literally one of few who can even hold my eye for 1 second. Integrity rules. How sweet it is to be loved by you, the Guru, and Sangha. The fragrance of your lotus will never fade. Oh, well, that's very nice of you. Thank you very much. You need to change your name. I need to know what your name is. I understand that you're but maybe you can give me a nickname. Shlok is saying, how do I start meditation as a 15-year-old? So as a 15-year-old or as a 51-year-old, meditation starts with just taking the time to sit down and give yourself this time. It's like it's for you. It's a gift for you. So it starts with a declaration that you're going to do it, not just like today or tomorrow, but it needs to be something that's done every day for you. So if you're not already doing yoga, if you're not practicing every morning, one, I would say you should be doing that, and you should meditate after your asana practice. However, if you're just wanting to start and you just want to get in, and like you're for whatever reason you're saying that you only have 15 minutes or so, then I would say, okay, at least sit down and start. And it's very simple. Like you can just go to YouTube and type in beginner's meditation, and you can listen to a guided meditation. Maybe I'll put up a guided meditation for beginners as well. So if you want just a basic flow through, it's very simple, but it is something where your mind is going to overwhelm you a ton at the very beginning. Just continue to come back and be patient with your practice. If you give yourself like 8 weeks, you'll really notice a difference from beginning to end. And there's a lot of science that's proving this as well. So how you start is just start. And even if you don't know what meditation is, the best way that you can start meditation is focusing on relaxing your body as much as possible. Forget about the mind and all the noise. Just focus on completely relaxing your whole body, and spend 15 minutes just completely trying to relax your whole body consciously. That is a very simple, basic way to start a meditation practice. Parama Yogi is saying, what experiences have you had after Kundalini awakening? I've had a lot of crazy Kundalini experiences. I can just sit in bliss whenever I want. I feel like I'm the most empowered being on the planet, because no matter what's happening, if I choose to take the conscious decision, I can sit in absolute bliss whenever I want. That's the only experience that really matters to me. It's like just sitting in bliss, being bliss. Like I'm not sitting in bliss, I am bliss. And it just overflows and just overwhelms me. It overwhelms my system. And without a doubt, that's the best. And it's only because my guru awakened my Kundalini. He initiated me into Kundalini, and it was just like, that was all that I needed. And the more that I cherished it, the greater it's happened, the greater the intensity has happened. But he's given me other experiences that have raised the Kundalini itself. It's not like, it wasn't just me cherishing it and practicing yoga. It was also the fact that I was living with him. I was one of his closest disciples. I would be in his personal presence for hundreds of hours. No other spiritual practice that you do can equate to sitting with the master, being in the physical presence of the master. So if you're actually wanting to increase your own Kundalini Shakti, the first thing that you would do is be in the master's presence. Unfortunately, you can't do that right now with my guru, but you can be in his ashram, which is, it's like being in his womb. It's like being with him physically. It will intensely increase the ecstasy in your life. Shlok's asking, how will I know that I'm doing the meditation correctly? Just focus on relaxing your body. Right away, what's happening is your mind's coming in, like, oh, how do I know? Am I doing it right? This is all mind, right? Meditation is going beyond mind. Just sitting with consciousness. You can sit with consciousness by focusing your awareness in your body, on relaxing your whole body. Just sitting and constantly trying to relax. If you just focus on doing that, you're doing the meditation correctly. Coming to the end here. Robert, love you too, brother. Still shining your light here in the matrix. Yes. There's a lot of pain I've taken on in this life, but now I see how it can be a salve for the depression and boredom. Drita, my name is, I don't know what you're saying there, but you just said your name is Kevin. It pronounced like Gavin. Gavin, nice to meet you, Gavin. But with a K sound, Kevin. But with a G, Gavin. Nice to meet you, Gavin. Kushik, when I complete my 1 hour meditation, I feel like I'm the smartest man on earth, because you are. You've gone beyond mind. That's the most intelligent being. All right. Gavin, thanks for all the kind compliments. Everybody else that's tuned in here today, thank you so much for being here. I truly do appreciate your time. Perfect timing. My battery's about to die anyways. Practice this again and again, the pranayamas, and I guarantee you, you will start to experience more intense happenings of Kundalini awakening. You will experience more bliss. You will experience a more purified body. You'll become more present. You'll feel more consciousness throughout your body. And that's really what the answer is. Okay? So thank you so much for being here. Again, I'm doing this every Saturday, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Next week, I'm not sure what I'll dive into, but I liked how we did the pranayamas today. So maybe we'll incorporate some of the other components of yoga. Maybe let me know in the comment section if you enjoyed this and what you'd like to see next week on next Saturday, and I'll take a poll, an inner poll, and then we'll go from there, okay? So thank you for tuning in, everybody. I'll close with the Puna mantra. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyade Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyade. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tatsat Sarvam Bhagavat Sri Nithyananda Paramashivam Paduka Paramastu. Om Nithyanandam. Awesome. Thank you again, everybody. We'll see you guys on next week. Please leave me a comment. Let me know what next week will be on, and we'll enjoy all together. Take care, everybody. Be blissful. Nithyanandam.